Hello everyone and welcome to Pragmac. Today I want to discuss with you a very interesting laptop, something a little bit unique, and that is the Asus Zenbook Duo 14. Before we dig too deep on this, I need to point out that I tend to like things that are a little bit different. I tend to like things that are a little bit unique, specifically tech that is out of the ordinary, and mainly because I think it's fun. The Zenbook Duo 14 is very unique and it does take a new perspective. It does bring a very large touchscreen to the keyboard and creates a totally different way of interacting with the laptop. And Asus has packed a lot of software enhancements to make the most value from the additional screen. The laptop is not the mainstream design that we are used to, and that's okay. For that, there are dozens of great laptops that fit that more traditional form factor, but the Zenbook Duo is to experiment a little bit and maybe change things up. And as a consequence, discovering a new way of doing things, a new workflow, and maybe some efficiencies along the way. The new way of doing this is facilitated by those two screens popping open and lining up to create the appearance of a single large display. And moving on to the highlights of the device, those two displays tend to dominate. The Duo has a 14-inch display which is edge to edge and has been dubbed by Asus as a nano edge, meaning that there's barely any bezel. And of course, the other display, the second touch display, is for the productivity workflows, and that is what they call the Screen Pad Plus. And it's all about the tools that have been developed to work with the Screen Pad, which open up into a control panel and help manage your creative applications. The touch display is the width of the laptop. It does take up about half of the bottom, and in this generation, it has been tilted up about 7 degrees, making it easier to view, less susceptible to glare from lights, and it places it at just a generally much more convenient angle when you want to use both displays in tandem. Some examples to how you could use the secondary display. Using the control panel, you could easily change between brush sizes, maybe saturation on a photo, as well as any other tweaks that might not be available normally at a moment's notice. You can now bring those menus and those settings out from the background right to the front, making them easier to access and increasing your efficiency. The Zenbook Duo's second screen is a powerhouse of dynamic options which are all available at your fingertips, or perhaps with the stylus, as it also will accept stylus input. And having a display lower down near your hands is a much easier way to interact with it than using a stylus directly on the display across from you. The entire device is intended to broaden the way you interact with the computer, and the second display is meant to lighten the workload when it comes to all those extra settings, specifically in Adobe Creative Suite. Asus has highlighted a lot of the case scenarios for using Adobe and Adobe Suite products for content creation, and it's clear that they are marketing the device as multitasker and content creator. Getting into the specifications, the primary display, the 14-inch display, it is full HD 1920 by 1080 resolution. It comes in a full sRGB color. It comes in a very bright 400 nits with ultra slim bezels equating to about a 93% screen to body ratio. It of course has stylus support and is a touch screen. And the Screen Pad Plus is a 12.65 inch IPS level panel with a matte finish. And it of course has that angle which tilts up 7 degrees to reduce glare and make it easier to read. Looking at the processor configurations, the base model comes with an Intel Core 11th generation i5 chipset, and the mid and high tier models come with an Intel Core i7 processor. For graphics, the standard is Intel Iris Xe graphics. However, there is an option to bump it up and have a standalone graphics card, which is the NVIDIA GeForce MX450, and that has 2 gigabytes of video RAM. Moving on to memory, the configurations are 8 gigabytes of RAM and 16 gigabytes of RAM. However, the DuoBook can support a maximum of 32 gigabytes. For storage, there's either half a terabyte or a terabyte of M.2 NVMe SSD storage. And for ports, there is a USB Type-A port, 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, an HDMI port, 3.5mm jack, and a micro SD card reader. The camera on the device supports Windows Hello face authentication. And moving on to pricing, the base model, which comes with the Core i5, 8 gigabytes of RAM, and and half a terabyte of storage. That is $999. And you can bump up the processor to an i7 for $300 more at $1299. And to add in the MX450 option, that's going to cost you $1599, but that is going to come with 16 gigabytes of RAM and a terabyte of storage. Looking at the Asus Zenbook, one has to appreciate just how unique this design is and what the company is striving for. Laptops can be kind of boring and dull these days. Sometimes they lack a little bit of creativity. However, with this second generation device, Asus has continued with their unique design. By looking for innovation, they were able to tweak some of the issues from their last model. The addition of the tilt to the secondary screen is a smart move. Small tweaks like that can change the usability of the device and can really change the overall experience for the consumer. The Duo is not a perfect device, and there are some awkward design elements, of course. For example, the screen pad does take up a lot of room on the base, and that forces the keyboard and trackpad to get pushed down further, which doesn't leave a whole lot of room for your palm rests. Additionally, the trackpad is forced out of the center off to the right-hand side. So for some, having that awkward placement of the trackpad all the way to the side, it might be a deal breaker. However, there's also another way of looking at this. Perhaps this type of device just requires less interaction with the trackpad than most laptops. You have the screen pad to interact with, you've got the stylus to interact with, and you've got the touch display. Additionally, I believe the majority of people that buy this laptop are also going to opt for a dedicated mouse. And that's the thing about the Zenbook Duo 14. It offers a world of possibilities, a world of options, and so many different configurations, to the point where the limit is what consumers choose to do with it. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know, do you think the second screen is going to be a huge help for productivity, or do you think it's just going to be a screen to maybe watch YouTube on as you're working on the primary display? Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you've been enjoying these videos, do take the time, hit that subscribe button. Hope to have a lot more coming to you soon. And as always, thank you from Pragmac.